Louis, you're up from Hubley.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. So as Allison just said, it is our second time back. So we're going to get a little deeper into Hubley this time around. As everyone knows, the theme of tech this year is how can we empower people to make better financial decisions? This is something we actually care a lot about at Hubley, and I'll review of how Hubley can help you do that. Before we do that, for those that have not yet heard of Hubley, it's very similar to tools like Asana, Trello, or Monday.com, but purpose-built for nice financial advisory firms. Think about it as a workflow solution that integrates with your CRM. It's customizable, it's intuitive, and really visual and easy to use, making it easy for you to manage all of your firm's processes in one place. Advisory firms that use Hubley are generally using our workflow system to streamline onboarding workflows, client review meetings, and money movement processes. But for today, we're specifically going to be focusing on how Hubley can help ensure that you take the next best action for your clients. And I'm specifically going to be focusing on how Hubley can be leveraged to ensure that you are proactively scheduling your client review processes and making sure that you follow up with clients in a timely manner. I'm going to show how Hubley can be used to simplify your meeting preparation, which we all know is very important to standardize, especially if you're doing a high volume of meetings. And last but not least, I'm going to show you how Hubley makes it a breeze to track all of your follow-up tasks. And I know coming out of every one of those client meetings, you at least have 2 to 3 to-dos to keep track of. And I'm going to show you how Hubley makes that really easy. And so what we're going to do here for today's demo, we're going to focus on a very real example of what your day looks like as a financial advisor. You're a financial advisor and you're busy working through emails and the Parson household pops into your head. And you're like, when is the last time I spoke to the Parsons household? What was the last contact? Or more importantly, what was the last action item that I or my team worked on for them? This is where you dive into Hubley. And so let's dive into it. With Hubley, we make it really easy to jump in directly into the client's profile, which is integrated with your CRM. And so we're just going to go up here. We're going to search for the head of the household, Sarah Parson. This is going to open up at Hubley what we call your client card. Here we centralize a lot of your client information from the CRM, including household information. We pull in the contact information, important client dates. More importantly, on the top right here, you can see the last time you had a meeting with the Parsons household was on April 7th. And right now it is October. And so it's probably around time to meet with them again because the Parsons household is on a semi-annual review cadence. And so curious as to if your team has started scheduling Sarah and her household in for the review, you can go to Hubley's dashboards. So we're going to go ahead here and open up the client meetings and reviews dashboard. Here, you can immediately see that someone on your team has already been working on your scheduling workflow. You can see that Debbie on your team has actually an overdue reminder here to follow up with Sarah. And so curious to see what's happening, you can once again open up Sarah's profile. Here, you can see that Debbie on your team sent an email request to actually with the scheduling link, and she followed up with Sarah, but the client still has not scheduled in. You can also scroll down and you can see that there was actually a note left here that we've called Sarah twice and emailed with no response. And so Debbie has actually set a follow-up reminder for herself to follow up with the client again on September 28th right here. And so right at a glance there as the advisor, you can sleep stress-free at night knowing that your clients are currently being engaged by your team. Now, let's go through the assumption here, and let's say that Debbie followed up and she finally scheduled a meeting with the client. As soon as Debbie finishes off this workflow, she's going to hit Mark Complete, and she's going to move the client on to the next workflow. This you can just do by adding Sarah into the preparation workflow here. Sarah has now been added into the preparation workflow. And so here you can see as Francis, the advisor, has been assigned the first task in the workflow. Francis can go ahead and see that he has a task here to review the action items from the previous meeting. Francis can quickly and easily review those action items by actually going to what we call the workflow ledger at Hubly. Here are all the historically completed workflows for a client. And you can see here was the April 7th check-in workflow. You can open up that workflow and you can see that you actually left some notes. With a click of a button, you can toggle down to those notes and see what discussion items were had. Here, by reading the discussion items, you can see that the Parsons family was expecting their first child, they were looking to buy a new home, and they wanted to touch base on these topics at their next semi-annual review. And so that's really helpful information. We can then toggle back to the preparation workflow. We can say we reviewed the action items, and let's just assume that Debbie actually sent the pre-meeting email, mark the workflow complete, and move Sarah on to the actual meeting workflow. Here, what we commonly see is it's important to actually track your discussion items. And so in preparation for the meeting, I want to have a discussion with the Parsons family on promotion details, baby details, and new home details. And so makes it really quick and easy to log the discussion items that you're going to have with the client when they're actually in the meeting workflow. And as you can see, Sarah has moved along the process here, making it really easy to visually see where clients are in the process. As you're going through the meeting here, let's just assume you discussed all of these items with the client. You're going to go ahead and mark all those tasks complete, and you're going to move the client on to the follow-on workflow. In the follow-up workflow, this is where we really help you keep track of that next best action. Let's assume in the conversation, the update that you received from Sarah and the family was that they ended up having a baby. They're also, they got a new home as well. And so as we're thinking about, the follow-up tasks and assigning those next workflows, we make it really easy to keep track of those. And so what we recommend here is we should probably do a beneficiary update for the Parsons family. And so we're going to start that workflow. We're also going to do a life insurance analysis. Let's do a review. And we should also probably look at opening up a 529 account as well. Now, what Hubly has done here is we've made it really easy to schedule your follow-up workflows, making it easy for you to see what is upcoming for Sarah and what your team has done. Now, you can either add start dates for these workflows or start them immediately. Ideally, you're probably not going to get to the beneficiary update till sometime in November, and so we're going to ask to be reminded of that then. Ideally, it's Q4, the client is really busy, and so let's tackle the life insurance review in January, and we should probably immediately open up the 529 account, so let's start that workflow. Here you can see these are upcoming workflows, and these are currently active workflows. Now, last but not least, what we find is important here is we're going to go back to the check-in workflow. We're going to add the next meeting date. Let's assume we had the meeting with Sarah here on September 29th. We added the follow-up works. And the last thing to think about is reviewing your streams and tags for the client. Given that there's so much happening for the Parsons household, it probably makes sense to switch them to a quarterly review process. And so we're actually going to go ahead here and add Sarah and the Parsons household to the quarterly review cadence, and we're going to remove them from the semi-annual review cadence. Now, what this does, and by actually updating your tags and streams, is it allows you to do the following. Previously, Hubly automatically prompted your team when it's been 6 months since April. But now you want Hubly to prompt you when it's 3 months since September. And so you can set up at Hubly what we call an automation rule. And as you can see here, we've set up an automation rule that clients with the quarterly review tag will be added 3 months after their last meeting. And so what Hubly is going to do here for you moving forward is Hubly's automatically going to remind Debbie that it's time to once again schedule a review meeting with the Parsons family 3 months from September 29th. And they'll just be automatically added into the workflow there. Hubly has really been designed to make it easy for you to keep track of all reminders for different clients and make it easy for you to track everything there. And if you're interested in finding out more about Hubly, I really recommend checking out our website at getstarted@myhubly.com to learn more. And I wanted to thank everyone here for having us here today, and Allison and the team from Asset Map for organizing this amazing conference.